our in this company, this platform, you're really able to connect with incredible people all over the country, all over the world. So thank you all for being here. I never miss a session with Cortland, whether he's in person somewhere, which is how we met, or he's on a Zoom, or am I reading his words on the cover of Success magazine? Like, just everywhere that he is, he's always delivering so much value. And so, yeah. Cortland, how was your new year?
Excellent, excellent. I'm ready. I was just saying, Megan, it's off to a wild and crazy start. So I'm excited. I will say that there were results that I wanted last year. We'll get into this a little bit today. There are
Hmm.
results that I wanted last year that did not materialize. And I realized that I wouldn't have been ready anyway. I would, I would. So 25 was a lot of foundation and structure, you know, support building. And when I look into this year, I'm like, it's not a hope or a wish because I know that I've done the work to prepare for what I'm attracting. So it's been good. It's been reflective so far, but I'm excited to be here today and jump in to
Awesome.
help to assist the folks that are here.
Awesome. Well, let me give everybody a background so they don't
Okay.
think you're just this handsome, bald-headed guy, you
You know
know?
what I mean? It
Oh, we
happens
got
all the
another
time. Happens
bald-headed.
all the time.
Bald-headed guys unite. um, yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about Cortland. I met Cortland probably now, maybe 15 years ago, and it was through a personal development course that I was very resistant to going to. And then, my sponsor, who is now passed on, Richie Ha, he says, you got to do this thing. You got to do this workshop. It's going to be great. I had some big business decisions at the time. I walk in, I'm sitting there, and this guy comes up and he's just kind of talking. And of course, I'm in the first couple rows because I want to soak it all in. I'm like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to make sure that I get value. And in the first, as I'm sizing him up and like already in my head thinking I'm wasting my time, he gives us a little exercise. And it's in the first 10 minutes that I was like, oh, that was good. Like I learned something about myself in the first 10 minutes. And then the rest of the weekend was just like on another level. So he in his career has literally trained, facilitated, like coached, I'm gonna say, like, I don't even know if I know it's at least 10,000 people, but I'm gonna say it's probably close to like 40, 50,000 individuals in different settings.
Mhm.
You're probably even hitting the 100,000 mark. You've now recently moved in, and we're so lucky to have you. Like, I've got my success year on purpose today because you are like our head coach, our head, like, person inside of Success Magazine, which is a magazine that I think was started in 1897 or something crazy like that.
That's about right.
Yeah. And so, you shared that from a young Cortland once looked at that magazine and says, wow, it'd really be great to be in there. Now you didn't just, become a feature in a few months ago for Success Magazine. Now you're actually spearheading. And so the power of like manifestation, the power of like being clear on your goals, is super important. So, all that being said, he's working directly hand in hand with Glenn Sanford, our founder, in rolling out this incredible new version of success with all these different opportunities and benefits for our agents. And what Cortland is here to do. The last quarter of 2025, I twisted his arm and says, "Would you please, please, please make time just to coach, just do your thing, like just help us move to the end of the year and prepare us to the new year." And um as a result of death threats and other things like that, he has
Right.
committed to an entire year with you guys, an entire year where he is going to be on once a month in this mindset and movement, first Tuesday of the month, to really just help, the people in this group, the people you invite. Like, let's just help people move forward in movement, and achieve success, because when you are blessed, you bless others, right? So I'm going to hand it over to you, Mr. Cortland. I know you're going to bring the fire.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Rosie. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone here. Whether I can see your face or you're listening in or you find yourself with this recording, thank you for being here. Thank you for prioritizing yourself. And whether you recognize it or not, you're prioritizing your dreams, you're prioritizing your aspirations, and in a way, you're also prioritizing the people in your life who are going to win when you win. You'll notice today that I'm seated. I'm not in my studio, which is just kind of over that way. Some days I'll use the board, but not today, because we are going to do an assessment today. And it only works if you're willing to be honest. Otherwise, it's a waste of time, and I wouldn't have committed to the time that I have if I were just in the business of wasting time. I would like to acknowledge Daniel, because for all of the accolades and the, oh my God, I got so much value from that. Oh my God, this was so great. It was so great. I made what I thought was a simple ask to take a Google link and go in and do a review. And from what I could tell, only Daniel did that. And so, Daniel, I appreciate you for that. And for those of you who were on and you got value from it and you did not do that, just recognize that when there is no reciprocity, then you block the flow of things coming to you. So you may uncover that you're, in essence, in your own way, not because I need the reviews, but because I have just built a reputation on being honest, and I don't sugarcoat things. Where there is no, reciprocity, there's no skin in the game. When we talk about money or cash flow or currency, we're talking about energy. And when it gets to you and it stops, or it doesn't flow through you or flow to what's next, then you become, in this network, you become a node that does not have an outlet. And so when you are, I believe that the greatest display of appreciation is implementation. Not just, oh my God, thank you so much. It's what changes as a result of the time that we are together. Okay, so that being said, we talk a lot about, in this environment, we talk a lot about attraction, agent attraction, business attraction, 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 attraction. And not nearly enough time is spent on what you actually need in order for there to be attraction, which is magnetism. There is no attraction without magnetism, where people are actually drawn to you, where they will actually follow you, where how you show up and how you're being inspires people in such a way that they will do what you ask them to do, that they will take the steps that you encourage them to take, because as a result of doing so, their life is different. And so often what I find is that people tend to be so focused on their own problems, their own issues, their own concern, their own bank account, their own relationship, their own health. And I get it. I do. I truly, genuinely understand, but I'd like to give you some insight in how to have it be different. You'll never get out of it, whatever that state you find yourself in. You won't get out of it as long as your focus is on what the challenge is for you.
Mm.
Until or unless you can get to a place where even in your challenge or in your struggle, you recognize that the way out is by being of service and value to other people. Until you can suspend the concern that you have for your own issues long enough to assist someone else in getting out of a predicament that they are in, be that buying a home, selling a home, whatever, then you stay stuck. And what I want to be clear about is this is not a, oh, be unconditional in your giving and out of the kindness of your heart. I'm not a kindness of your heart person anymore. I'm not. I used to believe, oh, just do what you love and the money will follow. That's bullshit. It's not true. Sounds great in personal development books. It's not true. The accumulation of money and wealth is a very, very intentional practice, exercise, and effort. So if you notice that in your giving, and you just give and give and give and give and give and give and give, but your giving becomes resentful, then your giving was not unconditional. You were just seeking approval. You didn't have boundaries in place enough to say no. You were more afraid of what someone would say or think if you actually declined. We had Rosie can attest to this. I don't know, it was maybe a month or so ago. And Rosie said, "Hey, what do you think about doing this 3-day blah, 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 da, 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 with the people, blah, 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 blah." And I just responded, "Yeah, that doesn't excite me." And she's like, "Okay. So when are we going to do it?" I said, "Yeah, that doesn't excite me. That doesn't inspire me. Not right now." Okay. So I want you to, if we look into and because there's a commitment over an extended period of time, you get a version of me that is more about building to where we're going versus a monthly hype session. So we're going to actually add some structure and foundation to the growth. Okay. And for those who reciprocate, and maybe your reciprocation is how you participate. Maybe your reciprocation is that you invite other people to be part of it. Maybe your reciprocation is, you leave a testimonial or review. Maybe your reciprocation, for those of you who are in the flow or in reciprocity, you will get more. For those of you who aren't willing to do that, then this will just be more, information accumulation, but nothing really different for you in your life. Okay. So the most important thing that we can do is we have to establish point A. Okay. You got to know what your point A is. And a way to do that, it's not the only way to do it, but a way to do it is through an assessment where there's an environment created for you to be honest and, for you to, because really, I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to see it. It's not for me. This is not about judgment. It's not about judgment. It's not about shame. It's not about embarrassment. It's not about feeling less than. It's not about diminishing. It's just, here's where I am. Yeah, I got an idea of where I would like to go, but where I'm starting from is here. Okay. And so that's how I envision us starting, today. I know that there's a lot of focus on mindset and mindset training. I saw someone, so I think it was Anna, someone posted, about mindset, and it is, it is extremely valuable. I've built my life around it. And without question, mindset matters. Okay, because why? Well, what you believe shapes your decisions, and your decisions shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. Okay, so, but the thing about it is, mindset is private. I can't tell you what your mindset is. Your results will display it, but to say someone's mindset is this or that is beyond that is very difficult. Why? Because I'm not able to see your mindset. Okay, so mindset is private. Um, Magnetism, however, is public. Mindset is what you think. Magnetism is what people feel. All right. So, Rosie, and I can tell you where I can, the, where we were, kind of like the dimensions of the room. It was, wide, not a lot of depth to the room, but it was wide. Rosie, she was on the first, like second, third row, depending on how many rows we had set up that day. She was to my left as I was standing on the stage. I saw her kind of, what I didn't experience her as resistant, but definitely she was kind of sunken, in her chair. She's kind of, checking it out. It's the first hour. Okay. And I remember that experience. I remember, through the class, I remember the discoveries that were being made. I have a very similar recounting of things with Anna, who I saw there just a moment ago, right? And the changes that I have witnessed over 20 years, and verifiably about 50,000 people, makes it such that I am not a gimmick. I am uniquely qualified based on the results that people have experienced from or after our time together to share with you the truth about what transformation looks like and how to create the life that you want. And there is no creation without there being some action. Okay. Now, that said, why you don't do what you already know to do, or what gets in the way of you taking the action that you know to take, is not because you don't have discipline. It is not because you're lazy. It is not because, you're not smart enough. It's not because there's something wrong with you. Okay. You don't do it because your nervous system does not allow you to do it. When you say you're going to do something, and then by the time this call ends and an hour after the call, you're on to something else, having forgotten what you had just discovered. And 30 days to 30 days, one call a month to the next call in the next month, things are materially the same. If you're tired of that and you're like just done with that, then that's what these sessions are going to be about. And magnetism is a huge part of that. Okay. Why? Because it's what people feel. It's what they feel when they are around you. It's what they feel when they are sitting across the table from you. It's what they feel when you ask them for the business. And there's not a lot of development around personal magnetism. Okay. So, it's important, right? Because, in a model that is built on attraction, like EXP is, then the distinction of mindset and magnetism makes a difference, because you want to have results or evidence in your life of what's happening. Okay, so understand that people, they aren't joining your beliefs. They aren't aligning with your reasons. Okay, but they must align with your state of being. And so if your state of being is lethargic and disconnected, and the um, uh, demeanor or the look on your face always suggests exhaustion, tired, annoyed, irritated, frustrated, all the things. Yeah, yeah. Well, I won't say it won't work, but good luck duplicating that. Okay, and that's the reason why for some people you can create results yourself out of sheer willpower, but when it comes to duplication, there's difficulty and challenge. Okay, because your magnetism is off. Okay, and so you can have a strong mindset and people still not choose you. Right? You can have a strong mindset and not be chosen. You can believe in yourself. You can fully believe in yourself and still not have people follow you. Okay? You can be the most positive person and annoy the hell out of people. You can be super energetic and still just turn people off. Some of you've experienced this. Okay? Why? It's because attraction does not respond to effort. Attraction does not respond to effort. It responds to coherence, meaning like it responds to alignment. That's magnetism. When the molecules, something is magnetic when the molecules are aligned. Okay? So if we had like two like steel balls, okay? You gotta mute the person. Okay. So you can have two steel balls, okay? Both have, positive and negative charges, okay? So they're made of the same material, they're made of the same stuff. They appear exactly the same. Are you following? Okay, they appear exactly the same. Same material, produced at the same factory, all the stuff. But one of those steel balls displays magnetism. Okay? I didn't say generates, I said displays. And the only way to display magnetism is for the molecules, the positive and negative charges, right? The molecules have to be aligned. And so therefore, a person might say, man, EXP is the greatest opportunity in the world, but I don't really believe it'll work for me. Then you go out and share the opportunity with someone and they're completely turned off by EXP and you and everything associated with. Not because of the opportunity of EXP, and really not even because of you, but there is no coherence. There's no alignment. Okay? There's no alignment. It's not happening. All right? So how steady you are, how clear you are, how grounded you feel, when those things are there, okay, magnetism happens. All right? So in essence, magnetism, I say, is what happens when your mindset and your nervous system and your behavior, they all align. Okay, that's what happens. All right. So your mindset, your nervous system, your behavior, they all get aligned. And that alignment has nothing to do with the compensation plan, the system, the scripts, meeting the right people. It has everything to do, and this is, I guess, kind of where, the training starts, right? Because it has everything to do with self-leadership. Everything to do with self-leadership. Okay. So the real question then is, if magnetism is the prerequisite, it's the prerequisite for attraction. You having personal magnetism is the prerequisite for agent attraction or your business growth. Is this making sense? So you have to be personally magnetic in order to get the attraction that you desire. And so where we start today is really then, how magnetic are you actually being? Like under pressure, in real life, not just in theory, right? Not how you show up to this Zoom, but what happens when we close this Zoom room? Okay, not what happens, today when you're inspired. What happens 25 days from today? And we're just about at the point for the next one. So this one is kind of worn off. Okay. So it's not like what you intend to be, but really who do people experience you as? Okay. So what we're about to do is not then a personality test. It's more of a snapshot of your current self-leadership. And in the time that we have remaining, I think that's about what we'll get to today. Okay. And recognize that wherever you see a gap, okay, that's not a flaw, right? That's more of your conditioning. It will inform you and inform us of where it will serve you to work on. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Now, how this is going to work, okay, is I'm going to read off some questions, some statements, and you're going to answer them, okay? But again, answering them is super important that you be honest, okay? All right, so if you're willing to be honest, type a 1 in the chat. Now, don't just type it in there just kind of, just cause, but only if you're willing to be honest. Okay, all right, I see some people ready to be honest. I'm looking down. All right, and I'm looking, okay. All right, that's a wonderful start, and thank you for that. Okay, so again, this is not a personality test. All right, this is not it's not a character judgment. All right, it's a conditioning snapshot. And so you're not scoring who you believe yourself to be. Let me say that again for the people in the back, as they say. You're not scoring based on who you believe yourself to be. You're scoring based on what people experience when they interact with you, especially under pressure. Okay? So if a stranger watched you, let's do it this way. So if a stranger watched you for the last 30 days, what score would they give you? All right? If a stranger was watching, that means we got a little listening device. We got some little, that little fly on the wall that people are always talking about. Okay, we got flies on the wall. All right? And they're observing you. Okay? Particularly under pressure, what score would they give? All right. Explanations don't count. Okay. I know I've been teasing this assessment for a minute now, but I'm trying to answer the questions. Like, if you find yourself going, well, what about? Just rate yourself the lower number. Okay. Because your nervous system, in order to keep you comfortable, is going to look to assist you in justifying. All right. And so that's not necessary. Why? Because we're establishing the point A. Okay. So explanation doesn't count. Okay. What counts is evidence. All right. And so here's the scoring scale. I'm going to score from 1 to 5. All right. 1 is this consistently runs me. 2 is I notice it, but it still hijacks me. 3 is it works until pressure appears. 4 is I can access this under stress. 5 would be others feel this without me trying. Okay, so from 1 to 5 in this kind of way of doing it. 5 is the high, is the, for lack of a better term, better score. The best score for you is the honest one, but we're going from 1 to 5. So when I say this consistently runs me, one of the questions would be around like your emotional regulation. Okay, so if a person is, is like hair triggered, the slightest thing sends them spinning, right? Then, they're being run by their emotions versus having emotional intelligence. They would be more of a 1 than they would be a 5, okay? So a 1 is this consistently runs me. 2, I notice it, but it still hijacks me. 3, it works until pressure appears. 4, I can access this under stress. 5, others feel this without me trying, okay? And what I want you to do, because I'm not going to wait, all right? So, and that's by design, okay? So you're going to score it, score quickly, okay? And overthinking, like I said, overthinking it actually is, that's already some information, okay? All right. Number 1, clear aim. Clear aim. So I know exactly what I am building and why. Okay, so before you score it, and these scores are going to go in your, I don't know who just put the 3 there, but thank you for that because that was fast. But you're going to put this in your notebook or a place where you can record it because we're going to score it at the end. Okay. All right. So I'll give you, what I'll do is I'm going to read a full statement and then I'll tell you in the score. Okay. So that way you can get the complete context. All right. So clear aim. I know exactly what I am building and why. Clear aim is not something that you can, clear aim is not something you can explain. It's something that your calendar proves. So if your aim were clear, your nose would be quite boring. So it's not just what you say you want, it's what your calendar would inform us of what your clear aim and purpose is. Score it. Number 2, inner authority. The scores are not in the chat because, and the reason why that's important is because, so I wish I could pause the chat. The scores are not in the chat. They're going in your workbook because you're going to need to know what your scores are. Okay, so I appreciate the participation. However, in this instance, the scores go in your private, whatever, journal, notebook, however you're going to do that, because you're going to need to be able to capture all of them in just a second. All right, inner authority. I trust my decisions without outsourcing the certainty. If you routinely ask for reassurance after you decide, this isn't authority. Okay, it's you look more for consensus. So whenever you make a decision on something, is your decision made, or then do you open it up for and invite opinions and feedback from other people after you've made your decision? Okay, score that. Number 3, emotional regulation. I regulate my emotions instead of leaking them. This is not about feeling emotions. It's about whether people around you have to manage them. So when you get pissed off, when you're in a bad mood, does your entire household have to walk on eggshells until you calm down? When you're pissed off, is everybody like, oh my God, stay away, right? That means everybody else has to manage because you are emotionally disturbed or whatever. Okay. So what is your emotional regulation? Score that. 4, self-command. I pause before reacting. So if you often regret how you said something, not what you said, then that means pause is untrained. Score that. Number 5, and there are 25 of these, so I'm going to move more quickly. Excess value orientation. So I naturally give more than what's required. If giving more comes with resentment, it's not value. It's approval seeking. Score. Energetic presence. People feel when I enter a room. This is not volume. It's whether the energy rises or stabilizes when you arrive. And arriving could be at a meeting. It could be when you arrive home, right? Does the energy go up or is there a drop? Okay. Number 7, I interpret setbacks in ways that create power. If you need time to explain why something happened, then it isn't integrated yet. Okay? Right? And so how do you interpret setbacks? Do they create power or not? Give that a score. Number 8, my enthusiasm is authentic, not performative. Okay, so if you notice that you have to if you turn enthusiasm on and off strategically, then that's not aliveness, that's effort. If you realize that you have to turn your enthusiasm on and off and strategically, depending on where you are, like it's also very, exhausting, but give yourself a score there, okay, on your expressed aliveness. Number 9, psychological flexibility. I can hear an opposing view without collapsing or defending. I can hear an opposing view without collapsing or defending. Give that a score. Again, remember, if a stranger was observing you for the last 30 days, what would they give? Okay. Number 10, I think and speak with clarity and accuracy. So if people regularly ask you to clarify what you meant, or they constantly asking you like, what does that mean? Okay. Not so much. Number 11, I move with people rather than against them. So if for you collaboration feels slow or frustrating, then control is still present. If you find it difficult to collaborate with people, okay, so I move with people rather than against them. Score it 1 to 5. 12, social grace. People feel respected in my presence. People feel respected in my presence. Right? That one shows up based on like whether or not people are able to relax around you. Or do they feel like they have to be, a particular way or be something, in order to ward off your, perhaps judgment of them, let's say. Okay. Number 13, visionary capacity. So I hold a long-range vision that guides my decisions. I hold a long-range vision that guides my decisions. So is your future self making decisions, or is it immediate gratification that makes decisions for you? Number 14, self-trust under pressure. I remain steady when the outcomes are uncertain. I remain steady when the outcome is uncertain. So for some people, uncertainty triggers like over-communication, or uncertainty causes them to withdraw. You know what I mean? Like, they have to know exactly how it's going to be, exactly how it's going to work out. Otherwise, they freeze. What is it like for you? Number 15, and again, we have about 10 more. I act without waiting for permission or perfect conditions. Keyword there, act. I act without waiting for permission or perfect conditions. Score that. 16, I choose and move. So if a decision lingers without you taking action, then that's hesitation, dressed up like, oh, I'm just being thoughtful and analytical. No, I choose and move. Give yourself a score there. 17, I stay grounded when the stakes are highest. I stay grounded when the stakes are high. Okay, so, if you notice that your tone changes under stress, then your composure is it's not regulated. Some people, when they're really stressed, they get loud, or their voice becomes really high pitched. All right, so you're being controlled by, your emotions are being regulated by the experience. Okay. 18, My words, tone, and body say the same thing. My words, tone, and body say the same thing. '19. I manage my energy intentionally. So if it's common for you to be exhausted, then what we know for sure is that your magnetism is leaking. If you're constantly tired, yawning, like just always just, you have magnetism leaks, and it's okay. We're going to like help you reestablish that. Okay, but that would be a clue. Like so do you manage your energy intentionally? Number 20, I direct desire into purpose. I direct desire into purpose. Okay. So if you recognize that if distractions win when you get tired, then you're losing magnetism. Right? So, I don't know who coined that term, squirrel, and it became like this little cool thing to be. No, it's very unmagnetic. That you get any little thing can knock you off course, distract you, draw your attention, pull your focus. That's not magnetic. Okay, that is not magnetic. You want to be one who locks in, and it's like, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. Right? Okay. 21. I take responsibility for my emotional state. I take responsibility for my emotional state. So if others get the blame for how you feel, then ownership is missing. If you feel a way because of what the husband did or what the wife didn't do, what the kids got going on, or what's happening in, the economy, what's happening with leadership, and all these things that are outside of your control or determining your emotions, okay, that's a leak in magnetism. All right, okay. I'm really excited for you based on where we're headed here. But anyway, I build systems instead of reacting. I build systems instead of reacting. So if the same problems repeat, then your strategy is reaction. Okay, it's not magnetic. And then 23, I build systems instead of reacting. 23, follow through. So I stay with things after the excitement fades. 1 to 5. I stay with things after the excitement fades. Okay. 24, what I know shows up in how I live. What I know shows up in how I live. So if you're a person who consumes information more than you implement, you're giving up magnetism. Okay. What I know shows up in how I live. And then 25, I convert failure into learning. I convert failure into learning. Okay, so look at your life, and if a failure tends to sting longer than it teaches, then we're giving up magnetism. We're giving up, power, the power to attract. Think about it. When a person has a misstep or adversity or challenge, or some failing, right? And they stay in it. right? They don't learn the lesson and move from it. Ask yourself, how magnetic is that person? Versus someone who gets knocked down, they're right back up, and it's like, okay, we're going to move, and I may get knocked down again, but it won't be the same way, right? That's a lot more magnetic, all right? I was talking with Glenn a couple of weeks ago about, the success of EXP and, man, how'd you do it, blah, blah, blah. And we were talking about coaching. And I said, well, we got some people who were certified to coach before, and we got to see, like, how are we going to manage that? And da, da, da. He's like, they invested some dollars, we invested, he said, we invested like $700,000 in coaching. They invested maybe, I think, 5,000. We definitely, they definitely got the better end of the deal. And I said, okay. He said, I had 17 failed businesses before I got to EXP. And later in the conversation, he's like, I'm just fascinated by the number of people who believe that anything is supposed to work the very first time. I don't know about you, but I got a lot from that. And I was drawn to that. Like, that's magnetism. Versus, I tried it once, it didn't work. Oh, well. So how about you? Do you convert your failure into learning? That's number 25. Okay, now, so your maximum score is 125. All right, so add up your scores. All right, add up your scores. Okay, somebody said 90. So I've got a 97 there. Awesome. Okay, so just add up your score and then subtract your number from 125. Okay, so when you add up your scores, you're going to subtract your number from 125. 3.68. I don't know how you do that. Okay. All right. Now, that number is not a flaw. Okay. That is your, it's a product of your conditioning. Okay. Mind you, this is all based on, your level of honesty. And then if we looked into your life, what we see, that your life actually demonstrates it. Okay. All right. So that becomes our point A. All right. So, because here's the truth, like, we're going to say that that gap that exists, okay, from what's possible and where you're currently operating, that gap, right, is your roadmap for personal magnetism, okay? Because here's the deal: if the comp plan were the issue, then the same people wouldn't always rise. If systems were the issue, then the same people wouldn't always be trusted with opportunity. If other people were the issue, then influence wouldn't be predictable. Get the idea? Like, there, I think about, leaders within like the EXP organization. Like, if everything was stripped away and they had to start over, there's no doubt in my mind, and more importantly, I know that they have no doubt in theirs, that they could go do it again and likely do it faster than they did the first time around. Their influence and impact is predictable because it aligns. It's not based on things that are external or outside of them, okay? So the only consistent variable is self-leadership. That's all it could be, okay? So self-leadership is not motivation. All right, that's why, so I don't know what you really like expected today, but if we're going to build a curriculum, then you're gonna, the way it works is you'll get some of the like underlying structure and foundational pieces so that you have a better understanding of what we are moving towards. And in this case, it's about you being more magnetic. so that you are attracting, not chasing. And if you're going to attract, then you have to be magnetic, okay? They're drawn to you, they're pulled towards you versus being repelled or you having to, chase it down or chase them down, okay? So whatever or wherever you felt the gap today, it's not a problem. That's just where our work begins. Okay, that's where our work is going to start. So, here's why it matters. Is because if you're wondering what the real and just kind of pause what you're doing for a moment and just I encourage you to hear this. Okay. If you're wondering what the real work is this year, this is it. It's not more tactics. It's not more noise. It's not more effort. It's personal magnetism. Whatever strategy you're running, whatever system you're building, whatever goal you're chasing, your results will not outpace your magnetism. And magnetism isn't about doing things to get other people to like you. Magnetism is not about doing what everybody wants you to do so that you get their approval. Are you hearing this? That's like when you look at about an hour ago, the tone that I set, right? It was, thank you, Daniel. You're one of the people who said, I appreciate ... I got value from the last 3 months. And I know that because there is a review that Daniel left there. Now, I'm not asking you even now to go do the review. That is kind of is done. But notice the tone of it. All right. And what you could feel in that tone was clarity without making people wrong. It's just what is based on principles, based on, the one I was speaking to was reciprocity. There is no getting without giving. There's no giving without getting. That's law. That's not Cortland. That's law. That's principle. But notice the tone, right? You got to feel, oh, okay, well, now it's like, well, is he mad? Is he upset? Oh, this is serious. Well, what is this assessment thing? All of that, I'll share now. Very deliberate, very intentional, because what I want you to hear before we close is that personal magnetism is not about getting everyone to like you. But it's also not about being an asshole for just because and then saying, oh, well, that's just me. No, you repel people because you're not magnetic. You turn people off because you have too many magnetism leaks. People don't listen to you, not because of eloquence or articulation or any of that. It's just sometimes a person just might be you're just too fidgety. It's just too I'm not, the molecules are not aligned. And so if there is any way that I can support you in the work that we're going to do this year, it will be in this regard, where you become a more magnetic personality. Okay. Your results, as I said, will not outpace your magnetism. And essentially, personal magnetism, this is the answer to the test. because attraction never fails. It only reflects. So if you're about, let's say, agent attraction and it's not happening, it's not because there aren't agents to attract. It's because you are not magnetic. And so it's not another system, it's not another approach, it's not another, right? We got to work on your how you display magnetism. Okay. So if it was the only thing that you focused on this year, not mindset alone, not strategy alone, but self leadership as magnetism, everything else would move faster. I can promise you that. Everything else moves so much faster when you become more personally magnetic. And if you're up for that, that's what we're going to do. That's what we'll be working on. So between our sessions, I'll provide periodically homework to, because I get it, a lot of things vying for your attention and so forth. So I'll provide homework that will be disseminated via email. And when that happens, like, do the work. Okay. Again, that's reciprocity. That's what we're talking about. Okay. So it's a opportunity for you to recognize that until you start to be more of a magnet, then there will be no attraction. It's not happening. Now, you can go get somebody else to lie to you. I'm sharing with you the truth. Rosie, that's what I got today. It's 1
That's
o'clock.
all? That's
That's
it?
it. That's it.
That's
That's all we got. That's all we got. That's all we
okay.
got.
So I just want to say, like, just the feedback here, comments in I know we're out of time, comments in here. Please, like, share your little comments if you guys enjoyed it. Also, please note in the chat there is the link. You will receive an email link for all of us, all of us who did not do the Google review. Like,
Oh, no. It's
no,
too
no, no,
late for
no,
that.
no, Cortland. This is coming like from personal responsibility and from gratitude and all the things. However, also in our magnetic thing, it's like, okay, where is it that I'm not pausing, or that we are not pausing to like to reciprocate, right?
Mhm.
So I'm a student just like you guys. Thank you, Cortland, because you always bring value. The tone of this session was different, but I love it. Usually we're like, oh, we're deep in thought and like there's so many nuggets and I get super excited. But the tone of this session for me was very serious because our business is very serious. When I say it's about doing the work, not about getting pumped up or getting the motivation or that temporary high. This is work. The assessment was incredible. I hope we can get a copy so everybody can go back and reflect on the areas that they can reflect, that they can grow in, because it's a growth assessment, is
Mhm.
what I heard. Brent Conley says self assessment hits and the work begins. Thank you. Always enjoy your time.
What's up, Brent?
Don, Lonnie, thank you. Thank you. Excellent, excellent, awesome. The truth and appreciate the truth and the fire, Joseph and Melinda. A lot of these people already, let's
Yeah.
get magnetized, she says. So,
So just so maybe I was, so this is what we're going to be building on over the
mm,
next. So this is not just an assessment for today and then we leave it and that's it. Like, we established point A, but the point, like what we're working towards, is being more personally more personal magnetism. So we now we'll build from here, but everything that we're going to be doing, all the content and everything, will be about becoming more magnetic. So we won't just leave it here. We start from here.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We have one hand. If you have to
Yeah.
go, I
What's up,
respect your
Deborah?
time.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah?
Hey, hi. No, my question, I put the question in the chat, Rosie, because the link was just sent out without registration, which I was one of those people. If someone linked on without dropping their email, where should they send that so that they can get the updates?
Okay, so if anybody did not do the
Oh,
registration form, is what you're asking, Deborah?
Correct.
Yeah, if you didn't do the registration form, please look at the QR code that was sent out in the graphic that you received. That link, if you do a long press, will send you to the Google registration form. Why do you want to do that? Because you want to get the homework, you want to get the takeaways, you want to get the information and prepare and put this in your calendar, ahead of time. So this is your 12-month like free coaching. Do the work. You see what's going to happen. You have to make sure that you put this in your calendar. So thank you, Deborah. Do a long press on your QR code. We'll register you and we'll have the information. If you did not receive any QR code, you were just invited by someone, please email me directly, rosie.rodriguez, R-O-S-I-E, rosie.rodriguez at eXp Realty, and we will add you to the invitation and the distribution right away. Sounds good? Portland, you're always bringing the fire. Can't wait to see what you've got going on like this whole year. You're
11
a
more
treasure.
sessions.
You're a treasure,
I
like
appreciate you.
ready to do the work, right?
I
So
appreciate you so much. All right.
thank you everyone. We'll see you
Love to
next month.
everybody.
Next
Yep.
month, first Tuesday. Next
First
month, first
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yep.
First Tuesday. We build from here. All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank
Good to
you.
see
You
some
too.
familiar faces. All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.